This is Lori with Rock & Co Crafts. Thank you for joining me. Today's video is going to be just a little bit different. I am not going to pour a traditional resin mold. What I want to do instead is I actually want to take some pre-existing home decor and use resin to give it a bit of a makeover. And what I hope to accomplish in the end is actually to make my life a little bit easier. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now what these are here, these are just little test pieces because I was testing different colors. That's what those are. And these have not been cleaned, and that's intentional. This is just a wine glass with some of the decorative stones in it. And I do dust. I dust every week. However, there are certain things, and the two items I'm going to do today are prime examples of things that I only dust quarterly. And I do that because they're just that tedious and time consuming. But if you look in there, you can see all the dust. And when it comes to cleaning this, what I have to do is, I pour it all out, hot soapy water, make sure I get every one of the stones cleaned. It has to be completely dry before I can place it back where I have it. That's a small item, and that's what I was testing. That's what I was testing here, is I wanted to decide what kind of resin, what color of pigment, not resin, what color of pigment I wanted to use instead of these stones. So what I hope to do with this one is to replace the stones with what looks like wine in a glass. Now that's the smaller of the two projects. Here's the bigger one, and this is why I do not have my leveling table out, because this is huge and it's heavy. But I do like it when it's clean. If you look down in here again, it's all dusty. It is time to do the quarterly cleaning. And I don't know if you can see all the dust and stuff on those stones. But again, there's a lot of stones in here that need to be put in hot soapy water. Everything needs to be washed real well. Everything needs to dry real well. And it takes these a long time to dry unless you're trying to do them individually. So for this one, what I want to do is I do want to pour resin and add some of the stone back. I'm not going to add all of these stones, but some of the stones back until I'm about even with the candle holder line. I don't know if you can see that candle holder line in there, because I don't want to pour over that. I don't want to pour over it because I want to be able to place the candle back in there. But those are what these two items, this one and this one, I'm hoping by doing this, then I can dust them weekly, because it won't be a matter of having to clean each individual stone. But the first thing I need to do is I need to get these cleaned up real well. And once I do that, I'll mix some resin and meet you back here. See you shortly. I did go ahead and I pulled the leveling table out so that I can do the wine glass, because my workstation is not completely level. It's a little off. And now when I do the candle holder, I'm going to have to actually move the leveling table, because I'm afraid I might break the leveling table simply because the candle holder is so heavy. Now this is the Let's Resin leveling table, and it does have a little level bubble in the center of it. It's easy to level, but I still use just a regular level to make sure that I'm level. And I want to use this for the wine glass, because even though I could probably put a popsicle stick or something underneath it to make it level, I would hate to knock this over. Let me see if I can move that distraction from the background there a little bit anyway. So what I have done is I have mixed, let me move that out of the way for a second. I have mixed 100 milliliters of resin, and I am going to use some purplish red pigment. I think that's the color I finally landed on after doing all the tests. I'm just giving this a good shake. And I'm going to let this set on the leveling table and cure for a while, because I still need to finish cleaning the candle holder, and that's going to take a cool minute. I just don't want it to look cattywampus in the glass when I'm done pouring it. And if I pour it without the leveling table, that's exactly what will happen. And I will put a link to some of the products I use in the description box below. For me, this leveling table has been a lifesaver. So let me see if I can't get a few drops in here. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll see if that's the color I'm looking for or if I need to add more. I mean, it's not exactly a wine color, but it was the closest thing that I could find. I actually tested about, I believe it was 3 different micas and 3 or 4 different pigments. And yeah, that's not very dark yet. So let me add another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That may have been more like 6. And see if that's a little bit darker. Then it's not going to look exactly like a nice dark red wine, but it's still going to look probably better than those little dusty rocks. Even though those rocks are cute, they're pretty. I could use some in resin projects, but they are huge dust collectors, and they're a booger to dust. Let me let that drip off of there. I want to clean my stick, kind of give it a test and see what I think. I think I want it a little bit darker, so let me add some more of the pigment. I'm going to add 5 more, and I'm going to call that good and hope it is. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 or 6, hard to tell. Give this a stir. And I'm not planning on adding any of the decorative stones to this. I just want to add resin. Now the trick is going to be getting the resin in there without getting it on the sides or without bubbles, because I'm not going for a champagne look. And I have this on the center of my leveling table because I want to put my food net over it, and that's about the only place that it'll fit. And I don't want a whole bunch in there. That's why I only mixed 100. Let me see if I can carefully pick that up. I don't want to drip it on the sides. I just want it in the glass. So let me see if I can get this last little bit in there without dripping it on the sides. I'm trying to be ever so careful. Let's stick up without it dripping. All right. So it does look like red wine. Now I like the heartier wines, like the Merlot and the Cabernet Sauvignon, but this does look like red wine, and that is what I'm going for. I'm going to kind of watch it for bubbles, maybe give it a little spray. I hope that doesn't mess it up. Let me spray some alcohol in here. Oh, do I want to? Yes. All right. I'm going to let this set and start the curing process, because it's going to take me a cool minute to get the candle holder and those stones ready for a pour. So let me give this a cover. Carefully cover it, because I do not want to knock this glass over. And it's gonna touch the top, and I do know that, but that's fine. It's covered. I don't want any dust, debris, hair, fuzz, anything in there. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work on the stones for the candle holder. Let this cure in the meantime. And then I will meet you back here shortly. I have the candle holder cleaned, the stones cleaned and dried. And I tried to make sure to get any and all water spots and so forth off of this. Now I have mixed up 100 milliliters of resin because I'm just not too sure how much to mix. And what I want to do is I want to try to get this poured in here and around the candle holding compartment because I don't want any resin in that. But I also don't want to drip it on the sides. So this may be a little challenging. So let me see if I can just try to drain that cup in there. I really don't want to drip it up on the sides. Even though I will be pouring more, I don't want it on the sides. I'm just letting it all drain out of that cup, as much of it that will. I don't know if I should try to scrape the cup or not, simply because I don't want to I hate to waste resin though too. So let me see if I can get it on this little, oh, hope I'm not messing up. And try to just, I don't think I want to push my luck any more than that. Let me stop there. But because of displacement and I don't want to get any sort of a flash cure, I only mixed 100. And on these stones, I'm going to try real hard not to get too many of the same color in one spot. I wanted to show you guys these little, they're almost clear. They have a little dark design in them. Those are so pretty to me. But let me just try to get a few in my hand. Oh, don't want to break anything. And sprinkle them about. And how they land is how they land. And I know it's going to take probably several pours, but I'm also hoping displacement helps with some of the amount of resin that I'll need to use. Oh, I need to be careful. Way too many white there. Let me grab my dotting tool and move some of those clear around. I don't want all, oh, but I'm getting it up on the side of my bowl. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I don't want it up on the side of the bowl. So let me try to make sure I don't have any more clear there. And what I will do after I'm done placing these is I will actually let it set for a couple, 2 or 3 hours, and then do another pour. And I'll do those pours off camera. I'll actually meet you back here when I'm getting ready to do that very last pour up here, because I don't want to bore you with, okay, she's placing more stones in there. But on the last pour, I actually hope to have some of the rocks sticking at least slightly above the resin. I don't want just a flat line. I need some red over here. Let me grab some red. Let me try and flip some of those over and hopefully not get it all up on the sides. Let's see here. It looks like I could use some more black over in this area. And I know it's not going to be perfect as far as the color scheme and too much of one color in one area, but that's okay. That's kind of the way it was before, and I was fine with that. Let me see. That's a good reason too. Here's a broken one. I don't want to put a broken one in there. So let me see if I can grab some more of these and carefully sprinkle them about. Let me get that turned over. Maybe. I have room for some, just a little bit more and then I'll let it start curing. I kind of want to strategic. These little white ones, like here's one that looks like it's got a little star, and these little clear ones are so, I don't know if you can see that or not. Maybe better like that. I just think they're so pretty. Let's see if I can place that there. I need a few more back here. And ideally, this will sure cut down on time to the time it takes to clean this. Let me flip that because I would like to start dusting it every week. It's just so time consuming when you have to pull everything out, and it takes a long time to wash and even longer for everything to dry. All right, y'all, I think that that's probably gonna do it for this time around. And as I said, I'll let this set for a little while, 2 to 3 hours, and I'll repeat this process, and then I'll do that off camera, and I'll meet you back here when I'm getting ready to do the very last layer. So I will see you then. It is time for, I'm going to call it the reveal. Now what I did here is I ended up pouring, the first layer was 100 milliliters, and then 3 layers at 200 each, so a total of 700 milliliters. I did decide to stop just shy of the candle holder itself. And even though there are a few, I don't know if you can see down here, there's a few stones sort of sticking out. But I thought if I made too many of them stick out, it'd still be a booger to clean. So overall, let me see if I can pick this up and you can see the sides. I like the way that it turned out. And I love the fact, let me bring you down here. I love the fact that when you put stones, even if they're decorative stones, it just looks like they're in water. So I do like that. I'm pleased with the way this turned out. Now, it was a relatively easy pour, just time consuming. So let me move that out of the way. And as you can see, I have several stones left over. I'll have to use those in projects. And I did end up finding a few broken ones, and I'll probably even hang on to these just in case there's some little project I think I can use those in. Now let's get to the wine glass. I am so pleased with the way this turned out. It really does look like a glass of wine, even though it's resin. And I don't know why it took me so long to think about how I could use resin in things other than molds, but I'm glad that I finally did this. And what I will do actually for these two items is let me see if I can scoot that up. It's so heavy. I will actually let them cure for at least 2 weeks. I want them to be cured all the way through. But then I should be able to dust them every week because it would just be a matter of washing them in warm soapy water and then drying them. So I think that they're going to be a whole lot easier to clean now. And then I won't have to be kind of grossed out by the dusty stones and everything. And I won't procrastinate as much because they were really difficult to clean. Anyhow, those are my upgrades, if you will. I think they're an upgrade anyway. They're going to make my life a lot easier when it comes to dusting. Let me know what you think of the final projects in the comments below. I do want to thank you for watching and ask you to consider hitting the like, share, and if you haven't already, the subscribe button. It really does help this small channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks.